The restaurant buzzed with the usual Wednesday evening chatter when 7-year-old Minho Park climbed onto his chair, his small hands clutching something that caught the light. Amelia Johnson was balancing 3 plates on her arm when she noticed the commotion at table 12. Her regulars, the quiet Korean father and his adorable son who'd been coming every Wednesday for 3 months straight. Amelia. Minho's voice rang out, high and clear, cutting through conversations. The dining room fell silent. Forks paused midair. Conversations died on lips. Amelia's heart squeezed. Something was different tonight. The boy's eyes were bright, nervous, determined. She set down her plates at a nearby table and walked over, her server's smile firmly in place despite the sudden attention. Yes, sweetheart. Minho held up a ring. Not a plastic toy from a vending machine. A real ring that caught the chandelier light and threw rainbows across the white tablecloth. Diamond. Platinum. The kind of ring Amelia had only seen in jewelry store windows she'd never dare enter. Will you marry me? Minho's voice trembled slightly. I want you to be my mommy. The restaurant held its breath. Amelia's mind went blank. She looked at Jin Park, the boy's father, expecting him to laugh, to explain this was some kind of joke. But Jin's face had gone pale. His dark eyes were wide, fixed on the ring in his son's hand with something that looked like shock. This had to be costume jewelry. Some elaborate toy. The boy was 7 years old, for God's sake. Amelia's Nigerian upbringing had taught her never to embarrass a child, never to crush their innocent heart. She glanced around at the watching faces, saw phones being raised, and made a split-second decision. She knelt down beside Minho's chair, bringing herself to his eye level. Oh, Minho, she said softly, her accent warm and maternal. You honor me with such a question. Yes, sweetheart. Yes, I accept. She let him slide the ring onto her finger, and it fit perfectly. Too perfectly. The weight of it felt wrong. Too heavy. Too real. Minho threw his arms around her neck, and Amelia hugged him back, feeling his small body shake with emotion. The restaurant erupted in applause. Someone shouted, "Congratulations." A woman dabbed at her eyes with her napkin, but over Minho's shoulder, Amelia caught Jin's expression. He wasn't smiling. He was staring at the ring on her finger like he'd seen a ghost. When Minho finally released her, Amelia stood, her knees slightly weak. She looked at Jin properly for the first time. Really looked at him. The expensive watch. The tailored suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The way he carried himself with unconscious authority. Mr. Park, she started, her voice low. I think maybe. Please, Jin interrupted, his voice barely above a whisper. His English carried a crisp accent, Korean inflections softening the consonants. Could we talk? After your shift? Amelia nodded, numb, and excused herself to the kitchen. Her co-worker, Destiny, grabbed her arm the moment she pushed through the double doors. Girl, did that just happen? Did a child just propose to you? It's not real, Amelia said quickly, looking at the ring. Up close, it was even more terrifying. The central diamond had to be at least 2 carats. Smaller diamonds circled it like stars. It's a toy. Has to be. That's not a toy, said Marcus, the line cook, leaning over to look. That's real. That's really real. Amelia, that ring is worth more than my car. Her stomach dropped. No, that's impossible. Why would a child have? Who is that guy? Destiny demanded. That quiet dad who tips like he's printing money? Before Amelia could answer, her manager stuck his head into the kitchen. Johnson, table 12 needs you. Now. Amelia took a breath and pushed back through the doors. The other diners had returned to their meals, but she felt their eyes tracking her. Felt the weight of their whispers. At table 12, Minho was coloring happily on his kid's menu, humming. Jin sat rigid, his hands clasped on the table. Minho, Jin said gently. Could you go wash your hands, please? The boy slid from his chair and skipped toward the bathroom. The moment he was out of earshot, Jin gestured for Amelia to sit. She hesitated, then slid into the opposite chair, very aware this violated every restaurant protocol. Mr. Park, I need to give this back. She started to remove the ring. Stop. His hand shot out, not touching her, but the gesture was urgent enough to freeze her movement. Please. That ring. He closed his eyes briefly. That was my wife's engagement ring. The world tilted. Your wife's. She died 3 years ago. Jin's voice was steady, but pain flickered across his face like lightning. Complications during childbirth. We lost the baby too. A girl. Minho's little sister. Oh God. Amelia's hand went to her mouth. Mr. Park, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I would never have. You didn't do anything wrong. Jin looked toward the bathroom where Minho had disappeared. He took it from my safe. I keep her things there. I didn't even know he remembered the combination. His jaw tightened. He hasn't spoken about his mother in 2 years. Hasn't mentioned wanting a mother. Hasn't opened up to anyone. Until, Amelia whispered. Until you. Jin finally met her eyes fully, and the intensity there made her breath catch. You're the only person he smiled for in 3 years. The only one he asks about between our visits. He draws pictures of you. Practices English phrases he wants to tell you. Last week, he asked me how to say beautiful in Yoruba because he wanted to compliment you in your language. Tears pricked Amelia's eyes. She thought of Miho's shy smiles, the way he'd asked about Nigeria, how he'd listened with such focus when she'd taught him to say, "Ikazen," good afternoon in Yoruba. I can't keep this ring, she said firmly. It's not right. I know. Jin's shoulders sagged slightly. But could you, just for a few days? Let him be happy. He's been so lost, and tonight he's alive again. I'll explain to him gently. Help him understand. But please, don't break his heart tonight. Amelia looked at the ring, then at this man who was clearly drowning in grief and love for his son. She thought of her own losses. Her parents, killed in violence back in Nigeria. The way she'd had to be strong for her younger sister Chioma, had to keep going even when she wanted to collapse. Have you ever had to choose between protecting a child's happiness and doing what's practical? Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. And if you're already hooked on Amelia's story, hit that like button and subscribe because this situation is about to get wild. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. 48 hours, Amelia heard herself say. I'll wear it for 2 days. Then we sit down with Miho together and explain. Gently. Okay. Relief washed over Jin's face. Thank you. Thank you so much. He pulled out his phone. Can I have your number? In case Miho wants to talk to his fiancée. A ghost of a smile touched his lips at the absurdity of it. They exchanged numbers just as Miho bounded back from the bathroom. He climbed into his chair and beamed at Amelia, at the ring on her finger, pure joy radiating from him. Can I tell you a secret? Miho whispered loudly. Amelia leaned in conspiratorially. Always. I've been saving my allowance. I was going to buy you a ring at the toy store. But then I remembered Daddy keeps Mommy's ring, and I thought. He bit his lip. I thought maybe Mommy would be happy if someone nice wore it. You're nice. The nicest. Amelia's throat closed up. She reached out and squeezed his small hand. Your mommy would be very proud of you, Miho. You're a good boy. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. Other tables congratulated her. Left extra-large tips with notes like, for the happy couple. Someone sent champagne to table 12 that Amelia had to politely refuse since she was working. Jin sat quietly through it all, watching his son's happiness with something like wonder on his face. When her shift finally ended at 10 p.m., Amelia walked out the back door into the cool night air. Her beat-up Honda Civic sat in its usual spot, looking shabby next to the sleek vehicles in the lot. She was fumbling for her keys when she heard footsteps. Amelia. Jin emerged from the shadows, Miho asleep in his arms. I wanted to say goodnight. And thank you again. Up close, without the buffer of the restaurant between them, Amelia noticed details she'd missed before. The exhaustion etched around his eyes. The way he held his son like something precious and fragile. The designer clothes that somehow looked like armor. Who are you really? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Nobody tips 200% on a $70 check. Nobody drives. She glanced at the sleek black Mercedes parked near the entrance. Nobody just has their late wife's engagement ring lying around for their 7-year-old to find. Jin shifted Miho's weight carefully. The boy didn't stir. I'm in international business. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give right now. His eyes met hers steadily. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mysterious. I'm just trying to be a father. Not everything else I have to be. Something in his voice made Amelia soften. She understood the weight of responsibility. The mask you wore for the world while drowning underneath. Okay, she said quietly. But if this is going to affect Miho, if there's something I should know. There isn't. Jin spoke with certainty. This is separate. My work life is separate from my son. From this. Famous last words, Amelia would think later. But in that moment, in the dim parking lot with a sleeping child between them and exhaustion pulling at both of them, she chose to believe him. Good night, Mr. Park. Jin, he corrected softly. Please. Just Jin. Good night, Jin. She drove home to her tiny 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood that wasn't quite dangerous, but wasn't safe either. Chioma was sprawled on the couch, chemistry textbook open on her lap, headphones in. At 16, her sister was all long limbs and attitude, but her face lit up when Amelia walked in. You're late. I was about to. Chioma stopped mid-sentence, her eyes dropping to Amelia's hand. Sister, why are you wearing a diamond ring that costs more than our entire apartment? Amelia sank onto the couch. You won't believe what happened tonight. She told the story. Chioma's eyes grew wider and wider until she looked like she might pop. A child proposed to you? A real proposal? It wasn't real. He's 7 years old. But that ring is real. Chioma grabbed Amelia's hand, examining the ring under the lamplight. Oh my God. Sister, this is insane. How much do you think this costs? I don't want to know. I'm Googling it. Chioma had her phone out. She typed rapidly, then her face went pale. Sister, a ring like this, we're talking $50,000. Maybe more. The number hit Amelia like a physical blow. $50,000. That was almost 2 years of her salary. That was Chioma's college fund. That was their mother's medical bills they were still paying off from Nigeria. I'm giving it back, Amelia said firmly. Friday. We agreed Friday. Who is this guy? Chioma demanded. What does he do? International business. That's so vague. That could mean anything. Drug lord. Arms dealer. Spy. Gee, stop watching Netflix. But unease prickled at Amelia's spine. She pulled out her phone and typed Jin Park International Business into Google. The search results loaded, and kept loading. Sister. Chioma's voice was strange. She was looking at her own phone, her face shocked. Sister, I think I found him. She turned the screen. Forbes magazine. Korea's youngest billionaire CEO, Jin Park, 34, takes Park Industries to record heights. The photo showed Jin in a sharp suit at some corporate event, looking polished and powerful and nothing like the quiet father who sat in her section every Wednesday. Amelia's vision blurred at the edges. No, that's not. That can't be the same person. But it was. The high cheekbones. The intense dark eyes. The same face, just more guarded, more corporate. Park Industries, Chioma read rapidly. Technology. Semiconductors. AI development. Headquarters in Seoul. Branch offices in 12 countries. Net worth estimated at $50 billion. She looked up. Sister. $50 billion. With AB. Amelia couldn't breathe. The ring suddenly felt like a shackle, burning against her skin. She thought of Jin's quiet demeanor. His gentle handling of his son. The way he'd said, I'm just trying to be a father. He wasn't just trying to be a father. He was trying to be invisible. I'm calling him, Amelia said, reaching for her phone. Now? It's almost 11. But Amelia was already dialing. It rang once. Twice. Amelia? Jin answered immediately, voice alert. Is everything okay? Is it Minho? Who are you? The words came out sharper than she intended. And I don't want some vague answer about international business. I want the truth. Silence stretched across the line. Long enough that Amelia wondered if he'd hung up. Then, tomorrow. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow morning? I'll tell you everything. I promise. Drop a comment right now. Have you ever discovered someone you knew was hiding a massive secret? How did you react? And smash that like button because Amelia's simple life is about to get very complicated. Subscribe if you haven't already. You'll want to see what happens when she learns the truth. Amelia sat across from Jin in a small coffee shop 3 blocks from her apartment. She'd chosen it deliberately. Neutral ground. Public. Nowhere near the upscale restaurants he probably frequented. At 7 a.m., only a handful of early risers occupied the scattered tables, too absorbed in their own mornings to notice them. Jin looked different in daylight. More human somehow. He wore jeans and a simple black sweater, no armor of expensive suits. But the exhaustion was more visible too, shadows under his eyes suggesting he'd slept as poorly as she had. I should have told you from the beginning, Jin started, wrapping his hands around a simple black coffee. No fancy order. But you have to understand, people treat me differently when they know. Know what? That you're a billionaire CEO? Amelia kept her voice low, but anger simmered underneath. That you're one of the richest men in Korea? That the ring your son put on my finger could pay off my student loans, my sister's future college tuition, and probably buy us a house. Jin flinched. I know how it looks. Do you? Amelia leaned forward. I'm a Nigerian immigrant working as a waitress while finishing my degree. I send money home to Lagos every month. I budget down to the cent. And you let me serve you for 3 months without saying a word. Did you think it was funny? Watching the poor waitress fuss over your son. No. The word came out hard, almost angry. Never that. Amelia, you were the only person who saw Minho. Just Minho. Not the heir to Park Industries. Not the child whose every move gets photographed and analyzed. Just a sad little boy who missed his mother. The pain in his voice stopped her cold. Jin continued, quieter now. When my wife died, the media circus was unbearable. Cameras at the funeral. Reporters calling our house. Headlines speculating about the company's future, about my ability to lead while grieving. They turned my family's tragedy into a business story. His jaw clenched. Minho had a breakdown at school because a photographer climbed a tree to get pictures of him at recess. He was 5 years old. Amelia's anger deflated slightly. She thought of Chioma, how fiercely she protected her sister from the world, how she'd fought to give her a normal life despite their circumstances. So you came to America, she said. Extended business trip. Officially. But really, I was running away. Giving Minho space to breathe without cameras. Without expectations. Jin met her eyes. Then we found your restaurant. And you treated him like he mattered. Not because of who I was or what I had. Because he was a sweet kid who liked your smile. He is a sweet kid, Amelia admitted. Her anger was dissolving into something more complicated. But Jin, this situation. I can't keep wearing this ring. People are already talking. Someone filmed the proposal last night. It's probably online. It is. Jin pulled out his phone, typed quickly, and showed her the screen. The video had over 2 million views. Adorable boy proposes to waitress. Her reaction will melt your heart. Comments flooded below. Most were sweet, calling it precious. But Amelia's stomach clenched as she scrolled further. Who is she? One comment demanded. Gold digger alert, read another. That ring looks real. This is sus. It gets worse, Jin said quietly. He swiped to another tab. Korean news site. Her picture from last night, grainy but clear enough. The headline, even in Korean characters she couldn't read, looked dramatic. What does it say, she asked. Park Industries CEO's son proposes to Nigerian waitress in American restaurant. Jin's voice was flat. The business news picked it up. Social media in Korea is exploding. My phone has 73 missed calls from Seoul. My mother. My brother. The board of directors. Amelia set down her coffee cup carefully, afraid her shaking hands would spill it. This is bad. It's complicated. Don't corporate speak me right now. She fought to keep her voice level. Tell me exactly how bad this is. Jin was quiet for a long moment, choosing words carefully. My family is very traditional. My mother has been pressuring me to remarry. Someone appropriate. Someone Korean, from the right family, with the right connections. There's a woman she's chosen. Practically arranged. I've been refusing for 3 years, but the pressure is intense. And now there's a viral video of your son proposing to a black woman he barely knows. Yes. A waitress. Yes. From Nigeria? Yes. Jin's voice dropped. Amelia, I need you to understand something about my world. Image is everything. Perception matters. The company's stock price can shift based on my personal life. Investors panic at instability. And my family. He rubbed his face. They're going to see this as an insult. A embarrassment. Amelia's hands clenched in her lap. She'd faced prejudice before. Racism wasn't new. But hearing it spelled out so plainly, knowing she'd become an embarrassment to powerful people she'd never met, made her feel small. I should take off the ring now, she said quietly. Explain it was a misunderstanding. Post something online. No. Jin spoke urgently. Not yet. Minho is so happy. Just one more day? Please. Tomorrow I'll fly back to Seoul, face my family, manage the situation. But let my son have one more day of happiness before reality crashes back. Amelia looked at this man who commanded billions, but couldn't command his own life. Who'd built an empire, but couldn't rebuild his son's joy. She thought of Minho's face last night, pure light and hope. One more day, she agreed. But Jin, you need to know, I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not going to hide or apologize. If your family has a problem with me, that's their issue. Something shifted in Jin's expression. Respect, maybe. Or surprise. I wouldn't expect anything less. Amelia's phone buzzed. Text from Chioma, sister. It's on Nigerian Twitter. Everyone's talking about you. Aunt Ngozi called from Lagos asking if you're really engaged to a billionaire. She groaned and showed Jin the message. Despite everything, he smiled slightly. Welcome to my world, he said. It only gets more chaotic from here. He had no idea how right he was. What would you do in Amelia's situation? Would you run from the chaos or stand your ground? Comment below. And if you're invested in this story, hit that subscribe button because things are about to get intense. The family drama hasn't even started yet. Amelia's world tilted sideways over the next 24 hours. She went to her Thursday morning classes at the community college, trying to focus on her business management lecture while her phone buzzed constantly with messages. Friends she hadn't spoken to in months suddenly wanted to catch up. Her Facebook friend requests tripled. Someone had found her Instagram, and the comments ranged from supportive to vicious. Goals. You deserve happiness. She's just after his money. Disgusting. Why can't she find a black man? Always running to other races. Beautiful couple. Love has no color. Gold digger alert. That child is being used as a meal ticket. She turned her phone off halfway through her second class. But when she arrived at the restaurant for her Thursday evening shift, the damage was already done. Marcus met her at the back door, his expression grim. Management wants to see you. Before you clock in. Amelia's stomach dropped. She'd worked at Bella Vista for 3 years. Never been late. Never messed up an order. Always professional. Mr. Henderson, the general manager, sat behind his desk looking uncomfortable. Amelia, please sit down. She remained standing. If this is about the video, it was completely innocent. A child's game. Nothing more. The video has brought significant attention to our establishment. Henderson cleared his throat. We've had 17 reporters call today asking about you. 5 showed up demanding to know your schedule. 1 tried to bribe our hostess for your personal information. I'm sorry, Amelia said. I never intended. I know you didn't. Henderson sighed heavily. You're one of our best servers. But Amelia, This situation is disruptive. Other staff are distracted. Customers are taking pictures instead of eating. We had someone today who came in just hoping to see you, not to actually dine. Cold dread settled in her chest. Are you firing me? No, but I need you to take a week off. Paid, he added quickly. Let this blow over. Once the internet moves on to the next viral story, everything will return to normal. Except nothing was going to return to normal. Amelia knew it in her bones, even as she nodded and accepted the forced vacation. She walked out to find Destiny waiting in the break room. This is so messed up, Destiny said, pulling her into a hug. None of this is your fault, isn't it? Amelia sank into a plastic chair. I should have said no. Should have handled it differently. You were being kind to a child. How were you supposed to know his father was secretly a billionaire? Destiny paused. Although girl, I have questions. Is he single? Is he as fine up close as he looks in that Forbes photo? Because mercy. Despite everything, Amelia laughed weakly. Destiny. I'm just saying. If I'm going to get fired by association, at least tell me he's worth it. But was he? Amelia barely knew Jin Park. 3 months of Wednesday dinners didn't equal understanding. She knew he loved his son. Knew he carried grief like a weight. Knew his smile was rare, but worth waiting for. Everything else was unknown territory. Her phone buzzed. She turned it back on after leaving Henderson's office. Jin's name appeared on the screen. I just landed in Seoul. About to face my family. How are you holding up? She texted back. Been better. You. Same. Minho keeps asking when he can video call his fiancée. I've been stalling. Despite herself, Amelia smiled at her phone. Tell him his fiancée says hello and she hopes he's being good. He's currently negotiating with airport security to let him bring home a live fish from the koi pond. So, average Minho behavior. She could picture it. Minho's earnest face, his careful English, his absolute certainty that any reasonable adult would see his logic. Good luck with your family, she typed. I'll need it. The next message came an hour later, and it wasn't from Jin. It was a friend request on Facebook from an account named Daniel Park, Seoul, South Korea. The profile picture showed a man who looked like a sharper, colder version of Jin. Same bone structure, but none of the warmth. She accepted, curious. The message came immediately. Miss Johnson, I'm Jin's older brother. We need to talk about this situation. Please call me at your earliest convenience. A phone number followed. Amelia stared at the message. Something about the formal tone, the barely concealed command, made her bristle. She was about to ignore it when another message popped up. I'm prepared to offer you compensation for the inconvenience this incident has caused. Let's discuss terms. Her hand tightened on the phone. Compensation. Terms. Like she was a problem to be solved with money. She typed back quickly. I'm not interested in your money, Mr. Park. Your nephew gave me a ring as an innocent gesture. That's all this is. Then you won't mind returning the ring and signing a non-disclosure agreement. Amelia's blood pressure spiked. I plan to return the ring to Jin, yes. When he asks for it. I don't sign things for strangers. Miss Johnson, you need to understand the position you've put our family in. The media attention is affecting our stock price, our business relationships, our reputation. I'm trying to handle this diplomatically. Then try asking nicely instead of throwing money at me like I'm some problem you can buy off. There was a long pause. Then, you have spirit. I can see why Minho likes you. But spirit won't protect you from what's coming. My mother lands in Los Angeles tomorrow. She's not diplomatic. The message ended there. No threats. Just a warning. Amelia sat in the break room, Destiny watching her with concern. What's wrong? You look like you saw a ghost. Jin's family is coming, Amelia said numbly. And I don't think this is going to end with a friendly conversation. She was right. Oh, it's about to get real. Have you ever had to deal with a partner's family who didn't approve of you? How did you handle it? Drop your stories in the comments. And please hit that like button and subscribe because the next part, the family confrontation, it's going to be explosive. You don't want to miss this. Mrs. Park arrived like a winter storm, cold, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Amelia first saw her on Friday evening, standing in the lobby of Bella Vista with Jin's brother Daniel flanking her like a bodyguard. She was petite, elegant, dressed in a cream Chanel suit that probably cost more than Amelia's car. Her silver hair was swept into a perfect chignon. Diamond earrings caught the light. She looked like old money and older expectations. Amelia was leaving through the front entrance. She'd come to collect her paycheck when their eyes met across the lobby. Recognition flashed in Mrs. Park's face. Not friendly recognition. The kind that a predator makes when spotting prey. Miss Johnson. Mrs. Park's English was impeccable, accent barely noticeable. How convenient. We were just coming to speak with your manager about arranging a meeting. Mrs. Park. Amelia kept her voice steady, professional. Years of customer service had taught her how to smile while screaming internally. I wasn't aware you were in town. No? Jin didn't mention we were coming. Mrs. Park's eyebrow arched delicately. How interesting. Daniel, isn't that interesting? Daniel stepped forward. Up close, he was taller than Jin, broader, with none of his younger brother's softness. His suit was sharp enough to cut. "Miss Johnson, we'd like to speak with you. Privately. There's a cafe next door." It wasn't a request. Amelia glanced between them, calculating. She could refuse. Walk away. But something told her that would only make things worse. And she'd never been one to run from confrontation. Fine. 30 minutes. That's all I have. The cafe next door was the kind of place that served $15 lattes and had tables spaced far enough apart for privacy. Mrs. Park chose a corner booth. She sat like a queen granting an audience, back straight, hands folded. Amelia slid into the opposite seat. Daniel remained standing, hovering like security. "Can I sit?" Daniel asked his mother in Korean. Amelia responded in Korean before Mrs. Park could. "Please sit." Standing makes this feel like an interrogation. Both Parks froze. Mrs. Park's eyes narrowed. "You speak Korean." "I studied it in college. Minor in Asian languages." Amelia met her gaze steadily. "I'm not fluent, but I understand enough." A long, loaded silence. Then Mrs. Park smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "How resourceful. Tell me, Miss Johnson, what exactly are your intentions regarding my grandson?" "I don't have intentions. Minho is a sweet child who made an innocent gesture. That's all." "Is it?" Mrs. Park leaned forward slightly. "A sweet child whose innocent gesture has cost our company over $2 billion in stock value. Whose innocent gesture has every business reporter from Seoul to New York speculating about family instability. Whose innocent gesture threatened strategic partnerships we've spent decades building." Amelia's stomach clenched, but she kept her face neutral. "I'm sorry your business is affected, but I didn't ask for any of this." "Didn't you?" Daniel spoke for the first time, voice cold. "A struggling waitress. A billionaire's son. A viral video. It's quite the story. The kind that could be very profitable." The implication hit like a slap. Amelia's hands curled into fists under the table. "I'm not selling stories. I'm not looking for money. I work 2 jobs and go to school full-time because I believe in earning my way. Don't project your world onto me." "My world." Mrs. Park's voice sharpened. "My world is protecting my family. My legacy. My grandson's future. Do you know what it means to be a Park? The responsibility? The pressure? The expectations?" "No," Amelia admitted. "But I know what it means to be responsible for family. To sacrifice. To work until your hands bleed because the alternative is failing the people depending on you. Maybe we're not so different." Mrs. Park's expression flickered. Surprise, maybe, or calculation. "You're clever. I see that now. Clever enough to know that ring on your finger is worth a fortune. Clever enough to understand what a connection to our family could mean. The ring is going back to Jin. Today, like we agreed." "Is it?" Mrs. Park opened her purse, pulled out a tablet, and turned it to face Amelia. "Because this was posted an hour ago." The screen showed a website, some American tabloid. The headline screamed, "Exclusive, Nigerian waitress and Korean billionaire's secret romance. Sources say engagement is real." Below it, photos. Amelia and Jin at the coffee shop yesterday morning. Taken through the window. Her face clear. His body language leaning toward her. To anyone watching, it looked intimate. Romantic. "We weren't," Amelia started. "It doesn't matter what you were doing," Daniel interrupted. "It matters what it looks like. And it looks like you're involved with Jin. Romantically. Which means you're involved with our family. Our business. Our problems." Mrs. Park took back the tablet. "I'm not an unreasonable woman, Miss Johnson. I understand you may have genuine feelings. And Minho clearly adores you. But you must understand this cannot continue. The cultural differences alone." "You mean because I'm black?" Amelia said it flatly, tired of dancing around it. Mrs. Park didn't flinch. "I mean because you're not Korean. Because you don't understand our world. Because this relationship, if it became real, would face opposition from every corner. Media scrutiny, family pressure, business complications, social judgment from both our communities. Can you honestly tell me you're prepared for that?" Amelia thought of the comments online. The racist slurs. The assumptions. The way strangers felt entitled to judge her worth based on her skin color, her job, her background. She thought of Chioma getting bullied at school. Of their aunt and Legos calling, worried about what people will say. "No," she admitted quietly. "I'm not prepared. But there's nothing to prepare for. Jin and I aren't together. This whole situation is a misunderstanding that got out of control. Then end it." Mrs. Park's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. "Publicly. Make a statement. Say the proposal was a child's game. Return the ring. Distance yourself from my family. I'm willing to compensate you for any trouble this has caused. Generously." There it was. The offer. The easy out. Amelia thought of Jin's exhausted face. Of Minho's pure joy. Of the way Jin had said, "Just trying to be a father." "How much?" she asked. Mrs. Park named a figure that made Amelia's vision blur. $500,000. More money than she'd see in 10 years of waitressing. Enough to finish school. Send Chioma to any college. Buy a house. Help her family in Lagos. Stop. Real talk. If someone offered you $500,000 to walk away from a complicated situation, would you take it? Comment yes or no below. And hit that like button because Amelia is about to make a choice that changes everything. Subscribe if you haven't. The drama is just getting started. Amelia looked at Mrs. Park's calm, assured face. At Daniel's calculating expression. At the tablet showing tabloid headlines that turned her life into entertainment. She thought about the money. About everything it could buy. Everything it could fix. Then she thought about her parents. Her father, who'd been a teacher in Lagos. Her mother, who'd run a small fabric shop. Both dead now, killed in violence that shouldn't have touched them. But before they died, they'd taught her something crucial. Dignity isn't for sale. No, Amelia said clearly. Mrs. Park blinked. Excuse me. I said no. Amelia stood, chair scraping. I'm not taking your money. I'm not signing anything. And I'm not making a public statement that turns a child's innocent moment into some calculated publicity stunt that needs damage control. Miss Johnson, Daniel started. I'll return the ring to Jin when he asks me to. I'll explain to Minho gently, kindly, that adults don't marry this way. I'll do it because it's the right thing to do. Not because you paid me. Not because you threatened me. Because it's right. Mrs. Park's face hardened. You're making a mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. Amelia pulled the ring from her finger. She'd been wearing it as promised to Minho, and set it carefully on the table. Give this back to Jin. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell Minho I think he's wonderful. Tell them both I wish things were different. She turned to leave. Wait. Mrs. Park's voice stopped her. You surprise me, Miss Johnson. Most people take the money. I'm not most people. No. I'm beginning to see that. Mrs. Park stood as well, surprisingly. But you should know, what I said about the pressure, the scrutiny, the problems, that wasn't manipulation. That was truth. If you continue any association with my family, your life will become very difficult. It's already difficult, Amelia said. I'm a black immigrant woman in America. Difficult is my normal. Something shifted in Mrs. Park's expression. Not warmth, exactly, but perhaps a grudging respect. My son arrives back in Los Angeles tomorrow. He's been in Seoul dealing with the board. I suggest you speak with him before making any final decisions. There's nothing to decide. This isn't real, remember? Isn't it? Mrs. Park tilted her head. Jin hasn't stopped talking about you. How you made Minho laugh. How you treated him like a person, not a symbol. He speaks of you the way he used to speak of my daughter-in-law. Like you matter. Amelia's heart clenched. He barely knows me. Sometimes that's all it takes. A moment. A connection. A person who sees you truly. Mrs. Park's voice softened slightly. I love my daughter-in-law. She was kind, gentle, perfect for Jin. When she died, something in him died too. I've been trying to resurrect it with logic and duty and appropriate matches. But maybe, she paused. Maybe grief doesn't heal through logic. Daniel looked shocked. Mother. Be quiet, Daniel. Mrs. Park picked up the ring from the table, held it up to the light. This ring cost me a fortune. I gave it to my son to give to the woman he loved. She wore it for 5 years. Died wearing it. Her voice wavered almost imperceptibly. Minho taking it, giving it to you. Perhaps that wasn't random. Perhaps my grandson understands something we don't. She held the ring out to Amelia. I'm not taking it, Amelia said. Not as payment. As a loan. Until Jin returns. Until you two talk. Truly talk. About what this is and what it could be. Mrs. Park's eyes were sharp, assessing. I'm not saying I approve. I'm not saying the obstacles aren't real. But I'm saying, perhaps I was too quick to assume. Amelia stared at the ring. At this woman who'd come in with threats and money and was now offering something more complicated. Hope, maybe. Or a test. Why? Amelia asked. Why change your mind? Because you could have taken the money. Most would. And because my grandson's happiness matters more than stock prices. Mrs. Park's voice firmed. But understand this, Miss Johnson. If you hurt Minho, if you use him or Jin or our family in any way, I will destroy you. Utterly. I have resources you cannot imagine and patience you cannot outlast. Am I clear? Crystal. Good. Mrs. Park pressed the ring into Amelia's hand. Now go home. Rest. And when Jin calls tomorrow, be honest with him. And with yourself. Amelia left the cafe feeling like she'd been through a tornado. She walked the 3 blocks to her apartment in a daze, the ring heavy in her pocket. Chioma was home, sprawled on the couch studying. How'd it go? Chioma asked, looking up. Then she saw Amelia's face. Oh no. What happened? Amelia told her everything. The meeting. The money. Mrs. Park's strange change of heart. $500,000, Chioma whispered. Sister, you turned down $500,000. I did. Are you insane? Probably. Amelia sank onto the couch. But what would I tell Mom and Dad if they could see me? That I sold my dignity for money? That I let rich people buy me off? Chioma was quiet for a long moment. Then, they'd be proud of you. Even though they'd also think you were crazy. I feel crazy. Amelia pulled out the ring, looked at it. What am I doing? This isn't my world. I don't belong in it. Maybe not, Chioma said slowly. But maybe that little boy belongs in yours. And maybe his dad does too. Her phone rang. Jin's name flashed on the screen. Amelia's heart jumped into her throat. She answered. Hello. Amelia. Jin's voice was rough, exhausted. I just landed. My mother called. She told me what happened. What she offered you. What you said. A pause. Why did you say no? Because it was wrong. $500,000, Amelia. That could change your life. Taking it would change who I am. That's different. Silence on the line. Then, I need to see you. Can I come over? I know it's late, but I'm at 447 Morrison Street. Apartment 2B. But Jin, you should know. I know it's complicated. I know my family is intense. I know this whole situation is impossible. His voice dropped. But I need to see you anyway. Please. Amelia looked at Chioma, who was making exaggerated say yes gestures. Okay, Amelia said. Come over. She hung up. Chioma jumped off the couch. Oh my God. Oh my God. A billionaire is coming to our apartment. Sister, this place is a mess. We need to clean. No, we need to move. We need. Chi, breathe. I can't breathe. This is insane. The doorbell rang. Both sisters froze. That's not him, Amelia said. He just hung up. He's probably 20 minutes away. The doorbell rang again. Insistent. Amelia walked to the door, checked the peephole. A young woman stood in the hallway. Asian, early 20s, designer clothes, expensive handbag. She looked impatient. Amelia opened the door a crack. Can I help you? The woman's eyes narrowed. Are you Amelia Johnson? Who's asking? I'm Yuna Choi, Jin Park's fiancée. What? Oh no, she didn't. Drop a comment right now. Did you see that coming? And smash that like button because this story just went from complicated to absolutely chaotic. Subscribe and turn on notifications. You need to see what happens when Jin arrives and finds his supposed fiancée at Amelia's door. The woman standing in Amelia's doorway looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Designer jeans, cashmere sweater, perfectly styled hair. Her makeup was flawless. Her posture screamed old money and older expectations. Jin's fiancé. Amelia repeated slowly, her hand tightening on the door. He didn't mention a fiancé. Of course he didn't. Yuna's smile was sharp. Why would he mention the woman his family has chosen for him while he's playing house with an American waitress? Chioma appeared at Amelia's shoulder. Sister, who is this? Nobody, Amelia said. Nobody. Yuna's laugh was cold. I'm the daughter of the Choi family. Our company has been partnered with Park Industries for 3 generations. Jin and I have known each other since childhood. Our engagement has been understood for years. Understood by who? Amelia demanded. Because Jin never mentioned you. Because Jin is grieving and confused and clearly making poor decisions. Yuna stepped closer, her perfume expensive and overwhelming. Listen, I get it. You're pretty, exotic, different from what he's used to. But this fantasy needs to end before someone gets hurt. Exotic. Amelia's voice went dangerously quiet. Did you just call me exotic? Yuna waved a hand dismissively. You know what I mean. You're not Korean. You don't understand our culture. This thing between you and Jin. There is no thing between me and Jin. Amelia interrupted. Your information is outdated. The engagement was a child's game that got filmed. That's all. Really. Yuna pulled out her phone, scrolled, and showed Amelia the screen. Photos from the coffee shop. More photos. Jin and Amelia at the restaurant. His hand on Miho's shoulder while Miho held Amelia's hand. The body language looked intimate. Familial. Real. These were taken over 3 months, Yuna said. Every Wednesday. Same restaurant. Same table. Same waitress. Jin doesn't do random, Amelia. Everything he does is calculated. So if he's been seeing you for 3 months, he hasn't been seeing me. He's been bringing his son to dinner. Does his son need to come every single week? To the same place? With the same woman? Yuna's smile turned pitying. You're not stupid. You can see what this is. Amelia wanted to argue, but doubt crept in. She thought of Jin's quiet presence every Wednesday. His generous tips. The way he'd watch her interact with Miho. Had there been more to it? Had she missed something obvious? Why are you here? Chioma demanded. What do you want? I want her to understand reality. Yuna turned her sharp gaze on Amelia. Jin is not free to choose whoever he wants. His life is not his own. He has responsibilities. Expectations. A role to play. And I fit that role. You don't. I never said I wanted the role. Amelia shot back. Then why are you still wearing his late wife's ring? Amelia's hand automatically moved to her pocket where she'd put the ring. I'm not. You were an hour ago. Yuna showed another photo on her phone. Amelia leaving the cafe, the ring clearly visible on her finger. Funny how you keep saying this means nothing while you keep wearing a priceless family heirloom. Amelia's face burned. She wanted to explain about Miho, about the promise, about returning it. But the words tangled in her throat. Because Yuna was right about one thing. This situation looked bad. I think you should leave, Chioma said firmly, stepping between Yuna and her sister. I'll leave when I'm ready. Yuna's eyes never left Amelia. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, Jin is holding a press conference to address this situation. He's going to clarify that there is no engagement, no relationship, that you were a kind waitress who his son got attached to, nothing more. And then he's going to announce that he and I are officially dating, as our families have long intended. Does Jin know about this plan? Amelia asked. Jin will do what's best for the company. What's best for his son? What's best for his family? Yuna's voice was certain. And I'm what's best. I know his world. I know the pressure. I know how to be a Park. You'd be eaten alive. A car door slammed outside. Footsteps on the stairs. Yuna's eyes flickered with something. Satisfaction, maybe. That'll be Jin now. I told him I was coming. Wanted to see how you'd react when confronted with reality. The footsteps reached the second floor. Jin appeared at the end of the hallway, Minho beside him. The boy's face lit up when he saw Amelia. Amelia. Then he saw Yuna. His smile died. Nuna Yuna. What are you doing here? Minho ya. Yuna's voice went sweet, false. I came to visit your father's friend. Jin's expression was thunderous. Yuna. What the hell are you doing at Amelia's apartment? Having a conversation. Yuna turned to face him, confident. Clearing up misunderstandings. Establishing boundaries. You had no right, Jin started. I had every right. Yuna's composure cracked. I've waited 3 years, Jin. 3 years while you grieved. While you ran away to America. While you ignored your responsibilities. I've been patient. Understanding. But this. She gestured at Amelia. This is too far. Minho pressed against his father's leg. Dad? I don't like this. Jin picked up his son, held him close. It's okay, buddy. Let's all calm down. There's nothing to calm down about, Amelia said quietly. Yuna's right. This is too complicated. Jin, you should take Minho home. Figure out your life. I was planning to return the ring anyway. She pulled it from her pocket, held it out. No. Minho's voice was anguished. Amelia, you promised. You said yes. I know, sweetheart, but you promised. Tears spilled down Minho's face. Everyone breaks promises to me. Mommy promised she'd come home from the hospital. Grandma promised Dad would be happy again. You promised you'd marry me. The hallway went silent. Minho was crying openly now, the kind of deep sobs that came from a well of grief too big for a small body. Jin looked shattered. Minho, I hate this. Minho buried his face in Jin's shoulder. I hate everything. I want Amelia. I want my family to be normal. I want. His words dissolved into crying. Yuna's expression softened with genuine concern. Minho, nobody's trying to hurt you. Go away. Minho shouted at her. You're mean. You're always mean. I don't want you to be my new mom. I want Amelia. Yuna flinched like she'd been slapped. Jin's jaw clenched. Yuna, you need to leave. Now. Jin. Now. Yuna's face went cold. Fine. But this conversation isn't over. The press conference is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Seoul time. Your mother and brother expect you to handle this properly. She turned on her heel and walked away, heels clicking sharply on the stairs. The moment she was gone, Jin sagged against the wall, still holding his sobbing son. Amelia and Chioma stood frozen in the doorway, unsure what to do. I'm sorry, Jin said hoarsely. I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was coming. My family told her where you lived. They thought she could. I don't know what they thought. It's not your fault, Amelia said, even though she wasn't sure that was true. Minho lifted his tear-stained face. Amelia? Are you mad at me? Her heart broke. Oh, baby, no. Never. Then why are you giving back the ring? Hold up. How do you even answer a question like that to a grieving child? Comment below what you would say. And please hit that like and subscribe button because this situation is about to reach a breaking point. Amelia looked at Minho's tear-streaked face and felt her carefully constructed walls crumble. She stepped into the hallway, kneeled down, so she was eye level with him while Jin held him. Minho, can I tell you something true? She asked softly. He nodded, hiccuping. When you asked me to marry you, it was the sweetest thing anyone has ever done. You made me feel special, important, like I mattered. She reached out, gently wiped a tear from his cheek. But marriage isn't just about one person asking and one person saying yes. It's about two grown-ups who love each other deciding to build a life together. And your dad and I, we barely know each other. But you could know each other, Minho insisted. You could talk more. Spend time together. That's what people do. He's not wrong, Jin said quietly. His eyes met Amelia's over his son's head. We could get to know each other. If you're willing. Amelia stood up. Jin, did you hear what Yuna said? About the press conference tomorrow? I heard. His jaw tightened. She was lying. There's no press conference. My mother might want one, but I'm not doing it. Why not? Wouldn't that solve everything? Clear up the confusion, Announce you're not involved with me. Move on with your life. Is that what you want? Jin shifted Minho to his other arm. The boy had quieted, listening. For me to announce publicly that you mean nothing? I don't mean anything, Amelia protested. We've had 3 months of Wednesday dinners and 2 real conversations. That's not a relationship. No, Jin agreed. But it could be the start of one. Chioma, who'd been silent until now, cleared her throat. Sister? Can I talk to you? Inside. Alone. Amelia followed her sister into the apartment. Chioma shut the door and whirled on her. Are you crazy? Chioma hissed. That man just said he wants to get to know you. A billionaire. A good father. Someone who clearly cares about you. Gee, this isn't a fairy tale. I know that. I'm 16, not 6. But sister, you always sacrifice everything for everyone else. You came to America for us. You work yourself to death for us. You send money to Lagos for family who barely appreciate it. When do you get to choose something for yourself? This isn't about choosing for myself. This is about reality. I'm a waitress from Nigeria. He's Korean royalty, basically. His family hates me. The media is already tearing me apart. Even if I wanted this. Do you? Chioma interrupted. Want this? Amelia opened her mouth. Closed it. Thought about Jin's rare smiles. Miho's joy. The way Jin looked at her like she was more than her circumstances. It doesn't matter what I want, she said finally. It's the only thing that matters. Chioma grabbed her hands. Sister, I've watched you kill yourself to give me opportunities. To honor mom and dad's memory. But they wouldn't want you to be alone forever. They'd want you to be happy. A knock on the door interrupted them. Amelia opened it to find Jin standing there, Minho asleep against his shoulder. The boy had cried himself out. Can I come in? Jin asked. Just for a minute. To talk. Really talk. Amelia stepped aside. Jin entered, looking around at their small apartment. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, furniture from second-hand stores. Clean but worn. Loved but struggling. Nothing like the luxury he was used to. Where should I put him? Jin gestured to his sleeping son. My bed, Amelia said. Down the hall, second door. She watched Jin carry Minho into her bedroom, lay him gently on her bed, pull the blanket over him. The tender care in every movement made her chest ache. When Jin returned, Chioma had made herself scarce, disappeared into her own room. Jin and Amelia stood in the small living room, suddenly alone together for the first time since this all started. I should explain about Yuna, Jin began. You don't owe me explanations. Yes, I do. Jin ran a hand through his hair, looking exhausted. Yuna's family and mine have been connected for decades. When we were kids, our parents joked about us marrying someday. It was never serious, never official. But after my wife died, the pressure intensified. My mother sees Yuna as the perfect solution, someone who knows our world, understands the business, won't disrupt anything. She's probably right, Amelia said. She's absolutely wrong. Jin's voice was firm. Yuna is smart and capable and from the right family. But she doesn't make me want to be better. She doesn't make Minho laugh. She doesn't see me as anything other than a role to fill. And I do. You see me as a father who loves his son. As a man trying to figure out his life. Not as a CEO or a park or a business opportunity. Jin stepped closer. These past 3 months, Wednesday was the only day of the week I looked forward to. The only time I felt like a person instead of a position. Amelia's heart hammered. Jin, that's not enough to build something on. Convenience and loneliness. It's not convenience. He was close enough now that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. It's not loneliness. It's possibility. When I'm with you, I see a future that doesn't feel like an obligation. I see Minho healing. I see myself remembering how to live instead of just surviving. Pretty words, Amelia whispered. But your mother offered me $500,000 to walk away. Your brother thinks I'm a gold digger. Your ex-fiancé showed up at my door to warn me off. This isn't Romeo and Juliet, Jin. This is real life with real consequences. I know. Jin reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hand. But here's what I'm proposing. Not marriage. Not commitment. Just time. Give me 2 weeks. Let me get to know you. Let me show Minho that relationships can be built on honesty and respect. Let me prove that this isn't about convenience or fantasy. 2 weeks, Amelia repeated. 2 weeks. We'll date. Properly. I'll take you to dinner. We'll talk. Spend time together with and without Minho. If after 2 weeks you decide this is impossible, I'll respect that. I'll explain to Minho. I'll handle my family. I'll do the press conference and clear your name completely. And if after 2 weeks I decide it could work, then what? We still have all the same problems. Your family, the cultural differences, the media, my responsibilities, your company. Then we face them together, Jin said simply. Look, I can't promise this will work. I can't promise my family will come around or that the pressure won't be intense. But I can promise that if you give this a chance, I will fight for it. For you. For us. Amelia looked at their joined hands. His, smooth and manicured. Hers, calloused from work. Two different worlds literally touching. I have conditions, she heard herself say. Hope flickered across Jin's face. Anything. First, Minho doesn't know we're dating. We present it as getting to know each other as friends. I won't let him get attached to something that might not work out. Agreed. Second, I'm not hiding. I'm not sneaking around or pretending to be someone I'm not. If we do this, we do it openly. I won't be your secret. I wouldn't want you to be. Third, I keep my job, my school, my life. I'm not some project you rescue or fix. I'm a partner, equal, where this doesn't happen. Jin smiled, really smiled, for the first time that night. I'd expect nothing less. Okay, but wait. Do you think 2 weeks is enough time to know if you want to be with someone? Especially with this much drama? Comment your thoughts. And like this video if you're rooting for them, because the next 2 weeks are going to test everything. Subscribe so you don't miss a single moment. The first real date happened 3 days later. Jin picked Amelia up at 6 p.m., and she'd stressed for hours about what to wear. Not too fancy. She didn't own anything truly fancy anyway. Not too casual. This was supposedly a date with a billionaire. She settled on a simple black dress Chioma had helped her choose, her natural hair pulled back in a neat bun. Jin arrived in the Mercedes but opened the door himself, no driver. He wore dark jeans and a button-down shirt, looking less like a CEO and more like a normal man taking a woman to dinner. You look beautiful, he said, and the sincerity in his voice made her blush. Where's Minho? She asked as she slid into the passenger seat. With my mother at the hotel. They're having dinner and a movie night. Jin pulled into traffic. She's trying. In her way. Trying to what? Accept this. Trying to understand why her grandson is happier than he's been in years. Jin glanced at her. She's not warm. She's not easy. But she loves Minho more than anything. If she sees this is good for him, she might tolerate me? Amelia finished. She might respect you. There's a difference. The restaurant Jin chose surprised her. Not some ultra-exclusive place with a months-long waiting list. Instead, a small Korean-Nigerian fusion restaurant in Koreatown that had gotten rave reviews. I wanted you to feel comfortable, Jin explained as they were seated. And I wanted to try something that represents both of us. The gesture touched her more than expensive champagne would have. They ordered jollof rice with kimchi, soya-spiced Korean barbecue, plantain pajeon. The combinations should have been strange, but worked perfectly. Tell me about Lagos, Jin said once their food arrived. About your life before America. So Amelia talked. About growing up in a middle-class neighborhood. Her father's school, where he taught literature. Her mother's fabric shop with its riot of colors and patterns. The music, the chaos, the community. And then the day everything changed. Boko Haram attacked a market 2 blocks from our house, she said quietly. My parents were shopping. Wrong place, wrong time. They died trying to protect other people. Her voice wavered. Chioma was only 11. I was 20. Suddenly I was responsible for a child, for our family's debts, for everything. Coming to America was supposed to be temporary. Get my degree, make money, go back. But then I realized Chioma had opportunities here. Safety. Future. So we stayed. Jin reached across the table, covered her hand with his. I'm sorry. That's inadequate, but I'm sorry. You understand loss, Amelia said. Tell me about your wife. Jin was quiet for a long moment. Hannah was steady, calm. We met in college, both studying business. It was expected that we'd marry, but I genuinely loved her. She made me laugh, made me slow down. When Minho was born, she was the best mother. Patient, creative, nurturing everything I'm not. You're a good father, Amelia protested. I try, but I'm awkward with emotions. Too logical. Hannah balanced me. His thumb traced circles on her hand absently. When she got pregnant the second time, we were terrified and excited. But complications developed. The doctors said she needed to choose, her life or the baby's. She chose the baby. Insisted. Fought me on it. The baby died anyway. A girl. We'd named her Soo-yoon. Sun and Grace. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. Jin, I'm so sorry. Minho watched his mother waste away in the hospital. Watched her die. He was 5 years old. Too young to understand, but old enough to remember everything. Jin's voice roughened. He had nightmares for 2 years. Wouldn't sleep alone. Wouldn't talk about her. My mother wanted to send him to therapy in Korea, but every doctor we tried, he shut down. Until what? Until you. Jin met her eyes. That first Wednesday, when you asked him about school and actually listened to his answer. When you complimented his drawing and asked if you could keep it. He came home that night and told me about the pretty lady with the funny accent who made him feel special. First time he'd talked about anyone that way since Hannah died. The weight of that settled over Amelia. The responsibility. The risk. What if I can't be what he needs? She asked. What if we try this and it doesn't work and I end up being another person who leaves him? Then we handle it carefully. Honestly. Together. Jean squeezed her hand. But Amelia, people leave. That's life. The question isn't whether loss is possible. It's whether connection is worth the risk. They talked through dinner, through dessert, through 2 pots of tea. About their hopes, their fears, their dreams. Jean wanted to expand his company's education initiatives, create technology that made learning accessible globally. Amelia wanted to open a restaurant someday, fusion cuisine like this, bridging cultures through food. Why did you study Korean in college? Jean asked as they left the restaurant. My roommate was Korean American. She taught me swear words first. Amelia laughed at the memory. Then I got interested in the language, the culture. Started watching dramas. Reading history. I wrote my senior thesis on Korean and Nigerian economic development patterns. Seriously? I'm a business major, remember? I'm not just a pretty face who serves food. She bumped his shoulder playfully. Jean caught her hand, pulled her to a stop on the sidewalk. I never thought you were just anything. From the first moment, you were everything. The intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. They stood there, on a random sidewalk in Koreatown, the city buzzing around them. Jin's hand came up, gently cupped her face. Can I kiss you? He asked softly. Amelia's heart raced. We've only had one real date. I've been waiting 3 months. She smiled. Then what's another week? Jean groaned, but smiled back. You're going to make me work for this, aren't you? Every single step. Good, he said, surprising her. Nothing worth having comes easy. They walked back to the car hand in hand. On the drive back to her apartment, Amelia's phone buzzed with a text from Chioma. How's the date? Details immediately. She glanced at Jean, who was humming softly to the radio, more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. She thought about Miho's smile, Jin's honesty, the possibility of something real emerging from chaos. She texted back, it's good, really good. The next 11 days passed in a blur of careful, deliberate courtship. Jean respected her boundaries, never pushing too fast. They had coffee dates, lunch dates, one memorable disaster of a cooking lesson where Jean proved he couldn't cook to save his life. How have you survived this long? Amelia laughed as she rescued burning vegetables from his attempt at jollof rice. Money and takeout, Jean admitted sheepishly. Mostly money. Miho joined them sometimes, delighted to see his father happy, thrilled to spend time with Amelia. They went to the zoo, to a science museum, to the beach. Slowly, carefully, they built something that felt like family. But on day 12, everything shattered. Oh no, what happened? Drop a comment predicting what goes wrong. And smash that like button if you're emotionally invested in this story, because what comes next will break your heart. Subscribe and turn on notifications. You need to see how this ends. The video went live at 3 a.m. Seoul time, 9 a.m. Los Angeles time. Amelia was at her Thursday class when her phone started buzzing uncontrollably. Texts, calls, social media notifications flooding in so fast her phone froze. She stepped into the hallway, pulled up Twitter. Her name was trending. Number 3 worldwide. The video showed Yuna at a press conference. Microphones everywhere, cameras flashing. She stood beside Mrs. Park and Daniel, all 3 looking somber and official. I'm here to clarify recent rumors regarding Jin Park and myself. Yuna's voice was calm, professional. Jin and I have been engaged for 6 months. Our families have been planning our wedding for this spring. The recent viral video of his son with a restaurant worker was simply a child's innocent game that was taken out of context. No. Jin is currently in America settling business matters, but will return to Seoul this weekend to formally announce our engagement. We ask for privacy during this time as we prepare for our future together. Amelia's hands shook. She called Jin. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. A text from an unknown number. I tried to warn you. You should have taken the money. Yuna. Amelia stumbled to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and tried to breathe through the panic. This was fake. Had to be fake. Jin wouldn't do this without telling her. Wouldn't lie to her face for 12 days. Her phone rang. Jin, tell me it's not true, she said immediately. Amelia, I just woke up and saw. Tell me you didn't know about this press conference. I swear I didn't. This was my mother and Yuna acting without my permission. Are you engaged to her? Amelia's voice cracked. 6 months, Jin? This whole time? No. Jesus, no? There's no engagement. There never was. My mother and her family have discussed it, but I never agreed. I never. Your mother was standing right there, supporting her. So either you're lying to me or you have zero control over your own life. Either way, I can't do this. Amelia, please. I have to go. She hung up, blocked his number before he could call back. She made it through the rest of her classes on autopilot. Ignored stares, whispers, people filming her. When she finally got home, Chioma was waiting, face pale. Sister, the news. I know. What are you going to do? Amelia sank onto the couch. Nothing. It's over. It was stupid to think it could work anyway. But you liked him. Really liked him. Doesn't matter. Amelia's voice was hollow. His world is too complicated, too controlled. I can't compete with family expectations and business empires and women who've been groomed since birth to be perfect corporate wives. A knock on the door made them both jump. Amelia checked the peephole, expecting reporters. Instead, she saw Minho. The little boy stood in the hallway alone, backpack on his shoulders, eyes red from crying. He knocked again, harder. Amelia yanked open the door. Minho, where's your father? At the hotel. He's on the phone being angry. I ran away. Minho pushed past her into the apartment. You blocked his number. He can't call you. So I came to fix it. Sweetheart, you can't just run away. You can't just give up. Minho's voice rose, fierce. You promised you'd try? 2 weeks. It's only been 12 days. Minho, it's complicated. No, it's not. Tears spilled down his face. It's simple. You like Dad. Dad likes you. I like you. Why does anything else matter? Because the world doesn't work that way. Amelia knelt down to his level. Your grandmother wants your dad to marry someone else. Someone from your world. I don't care about their world. Minho was full-on crying now. I care about you. You make Dad smile. You make me feel like I have a family again. Why isn't that enough? Amelia pulled him into a hug as he sobbed. Over his shoulder, she saw Chioma wiping her own eyes. Oh baby, Amelia whispered. It should be enough. In a perfect world, it would be enough. Then make it enough. Minho pulled back, looked at her with determination through his tears. Fight for us. Please. I already lost my mom. I can't lose you too. The words pierced Amelia's heart. She thought about her own parents. How they'd fought to protect people in that market. How they'd taught her that love was worth fighting for, even when it was hard. Her phone buzzed. A new number. She answered. Amelia, please don't hang up. It was Mrs. Park. I'm outside your building. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes. Why should I listen to anything you have to say? Amelia demanded. You just destroyed your son's relationship on international television. Because I made a mistake. Mrs. Park's voice was strained. A terrible mistake. And I need to fix it. Amelia looked at Minho, still crying in her arms. At Chioma, watching with hope in her eyes. At the life she'd carefully built. Small, safe, controllable. She thought about her father, who'd run toward danger to save strangers. Her mother, who'd loved openly despite a world that often rejected that love. 5 minutes, Amelia said. Mrs. Park sat in Amelia's tiny living room, looking uncomfortable on the second-hand couch. She'd aged since their first meeting, lines deeper around her eyes. I've spent 3 years trying to control my son's life, she began without preamble. Trying to steer him toward what I thought was right. Safe. Appropriate. I told myself it was for his good. For Minho's good. For the company. And now? Amelia asked coldly. Now I've watched my grandson run away from a 5-star hotel to find you. I've seen my son angrier than he's been since his wife died. Not at you. At me. At the situation I created. Mrs. Park's hands twisted in her lap. I've watched him come alive these past 2 weeks. Watched him laugh. Plan. Hope. Things I thought he'd forgotten how to do. So you held a press conference announcing his engagement to someone else? That was Yuna and her family acting independently. I was there, yes, but I didn't speak. Didn't endorse it. The moment I saw what they were doing, I tried to stop it. Mrs. Park met Amelia's eyes. I failed my son once by not protecting him from media during his grief. I won't fail him again. What are you saying? I'm saying if Jean chooses you, I'll support it. Publicly. Completely. Mrs. Park's voice was firm. I'll issue a statement. Clarify the lies. Stand beside you both against whoever has a problem with it. Why? Amelia demanded. What changed? Mrs. Park looked at Minho, who had fallen asleep curled against Amelia on the couch. Because that child hasn't slept peacefully in 3 years. But right now, in your arms, he's at peace. And that's worth more than any business partnership or family expectation or cultural tradition. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. It won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. People will judge. Attack. Make our lives hell. Let them. Mrs. Park's voice was steel. The Parks didn't build an empire by caring what small minds think. The door burst open. Jean stood there, chest heaving, hair disheveled. Minho ran away and he stopped, took in the scene. His mother, Amelia, his son sleeping peacefully. I messed up, Jean said, voice raw. I should have confronted my family earlier. Should have made my position clear publicly. Should have protected you better. Yes, Amelia agreed. You should have. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Jean crossed the room, knelt in front of her. But Amelia, I'm in love with you. Maybe I have been since the first Wednesday you smiled at my sad kid and made him feel seen. Maybe it was the day you corrected my mother in Korean. Maybe it was last week when you beat me at Scrabble and refused to let me win. I don't know when it happened, but it happened. Jean. Amelia's voice broke. I love you. I love how you fight for your sister. How you honor your parents' memory. How you make Minho laugh. How you see me as a person, not a position. How you refused $500,000 because your integrity isn't for sale. He took her hand. I love you, and I'm asking, not for 2 weeks. Not for a trial period. I'm asking you to build a life with me. Complicated, messy, cross-cultural, media circus life. I'm asking you to marry me. For real this time. The room went silent. Even Minho stirred awake, blinking sleepily. Did you just, Amelia started. Propose? Yes. Jin pulled a ring from his pocket. Not his late wife's ring. A new one. This is yours. Only yours. If you'll have it. Have me. Have us. Amelia looked at the ring. At Jin's hopeful, terrified face. At Mrs. Park, who nodded slightly. At Minho, who was holding his breath. At Chioma, grinning through tears. She thought about her parents. About risk and love and choosing joy over safety. Yes, Amelia whispered. Yes, you impossible man. Yes. Minho cheered. Chioma screamed. Mrs. Park smiled, an actual genuine smile. And Jin kissed her, finally, properly, like she was his whole world. 3 months later, they got married in a small ceremony that blended Korean and Nigerian traditions. Mrs. Park wore traditional hanbok in Nigerian colors. Chioma was maid of honor. Minho was ring bearer and absolutely nailed his job. The media had a field day. Korean news, Nigerian news, American tabloids. But Amelia had learned something important. Love wasn't about perfect circumstances. It was about choosing each other every single day, despite the chaos. She kept her restaurant job for 6 more months, finished her degree, eventually opened that fusion restaurant she dreamed of. Jin stepped back from CEO duties, focused more on family and philanthropy. And every Wednesday, they went to Bella Vista. Sat at table 12. Let Minho order the kids' menu chicken tenders he'd always loved. Because some traditions were worth keeping. So what did you think? Did Amelia and Jin's story give you all the feels? Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. And if you love this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories like this one. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for sticking with me through this wild ride. See you in the next story.